Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and we are back here in Destiny. Today I'm going to be giving you guys my first impressions of the Empyrean Bellicose. The Empyrean Bellicose is a Titan class helmet, and it has a rather interesting perk known as anti-grav thrusters. Anti-grav thrusters, aiming weapons while in the air, will hold you in place for a short time, and orbs collected while your super is full will recharge your melee ability. I think the hugest part of this helmet really comes from the first part of that anti-grav thrusters perk. Aiming weapons while in the air will hold you in place for a short period of time. Now, in the several hours that I've had to spend with the Empyrean Bellicose, that obviously was the element of the helmet that was most noticeable to me. Alongside of that, we've got some additional perks, the ability to increase intellect or strength. We have ashes to assets, gain bonus super energy on grenade kills, or second thoughts, gain bonus super energy from special weapon kills on minions of darkness. We also have infusion, replenish health each time you pick up an orb of light. So all around, a pretty great set of perks for an exotic helmet. But once again, let's talk about that anti-grav thruster perk. It actually allows your character to hover in the air while holding in the left trigger and aiming down the sights. As soon as you aim down the sights, no matter where you are off the ground, you're going to go ahead and activate those anti-grav thrusters. Now, it should be noted that you can activate it at once at any given time throughout the course of a jump. So you pop yourself in the air, maybe even with just a single jump before using your actual power jump. You can go ahead and activate it and you'll hover just a little bit off the ground. Of course, you could go for a full jump, hit the hover in, or kick in the left trigger and hover either for the entire period of the ability or until you feel like stopping. Maybe you just want to do a short burst hover to rechange direction. There's a lot of huge benefits, I think, on a PvE as well as a PvP combat scale for that perk specifically. And one of the things that I've had a lot of fun in pairing it up with is the Icarus perk on my Suros auto rifle and answering cord. Icarus perk, of course, improves accuracy while airborne. These two things together have been a lot of fun when messing around in PvP as well as in PvE. Now, I do want to talk first and foremost about my initial impressions with this helmet from a PvE perspective. Obviously, all of those wonderful little stat bonuses that we're going to get once you go ahead and max out the helmet, they're going to be great. It's nice to have that selective choice between intellect and strength. That's something that is just a part of all of the armor, or at least the higher tier armor in Destiny in the Taken King, and it's a huge benefit to be able to toggle your sort of build back and forth without having to switch out an entirely different piece of gear. You know, you have that sort of 50-50 split on this helmet. You can have more intellect, you can have more strength. And the same thing goes for the other perks. It's really all situational. Do you want to go ahead and reap the benefits of, grenade kills on super energy? Or maybe you're in a situation where you just know that, special weapon kills using your shotguns on the minions of the darkness is going to be the more beneficial way to gain super energy. It's a back and forth. So overall, the choices on the helmet are definitely appreciated. And, you can kind of work and switch between the two depending on the situation that you're in. Now, the anti-grav thrusters, I think initially a lot of people might look at this like a gimmick, but I see huge benefits for this in a lot of very specific situations in PvE as well as in PvP. So let's talk about the PvE stuff. A situation that happens all too often, you're in a room, you become overwhelmed. Many of us, as Guardians with the ability to jump, we employ our jump, we use it to dodge enemies and to make our way to safe areas of the room. Often that is because we're being attacked by some sort of a melee-focused enemy, whether it be a thrall, perhaps even cursed thralls in this situation, drag, assassin type, fallen, whatever the case, you need to get away from their range of attack, which is often the quickest way straight up into the air. Now, what the anti-grav thrusters do for the Empyrean Bellicose is it allows you to not only get airborne to evade these types of enemies, but it allows you to get airborne and stay airborne to possibly do some damage to them. I found it to be great when dealing with Cursed Thrall, being able to jump up into the air, actually target the Cursed Thrall, wipe out a large group of them with being able to avoid a large amount of the damage, depending of course on the difficulty level that you're playing on. In a Nightfall, I would say that it would not be beneficial to just pop this thing, jump up in the air, and then go ahead and hit those thralls. There's a very good chance that they will still reach you. But hey, if that's your only option, if that's your final, line of defense, it's better than just standing there and taking all of the damage and obviously going down. A lot of other opportunities where maybe you're targeting something like a wizard or another range type enemy, they're extremely close to death, and you start to get attacked by a large group of thrall. Rather than let that enemy perhaps recharge their shield, you can get airborne, deploy those anti-grav thrusters, use something that's going to be effective at that sort of a range, maybe use a weapon like the Suros that I have with Icarus to reap the rewards of that perfect pair, I would say, and go ahead and actually deal the damage you need to eliminate that target, drop back to the ground, and then deal with the melee enemies. Really a lot of small benefits, especially when playing on the harder difficulties where, you know, taking down an enemy that has an extremely powerful shield is hugely important. I really am excited to see how this thing handles in the Nightfall, and I can think of a lot of opportunities in the Sunless Cell Strike that I ran recently where this helmet would have been insanely beneficial. Again, there's a lot of those explosive type thrall ads that Outlet call, the Darkblade likes to call out. It would have been nice to have this helmet to stabilize a little bit, deal some damage without getting on the ground and being attacked by some of the more standard thrall. He really does like to throw out a lot of those damn thrall ads. This helmet would have been awesome there. Let's talk more on a PvP setting. I got to spend some time in PvP with it, and I think it's a helmet that's going to be very skill-based and situational depending on the player. A lot of it really comes down to how effective you can actually employ the anti-grav thrusters when out in the air. It's really a personal thing, 100%. So in a lot of cases for me, what I really tried to focus on doing with the helmet was using it in a lot of close quarter areas to kind of throw off you know, an enemy that may have been encountering me. I thought it was a great way to actually sort of kite away from shotgun-based enemies. This was something that I thought was actually probably the most effective use of the helmet and its ability thus far, especially when running something like an auto rifle with maybe a secondary like a sniper where you don't really want to do a lot of close quarter stuff, but you understand that you can deal the damage needed with an auto rifle if you can just maintain that distance to prevent being killed by someone's shotgun. So doing sort of a reverse jump, locking in, or again, even just gaining that height advantage to throw the enemy off for a moment. Now, of course, people can rush you. There is always the opportunity for someone to go ahead and, you know, just get in your face with a shotgun once they realize you're airborne, and more people are probably going to become more comfortable with Titans using these sorts of component or mechanics when using this helmet, and you're going to have to, you know, sort of change your strategy accordingly. But I think there are still benefits to be had from just being able to gain that extra distance and maintain it, you know, not falling back to the ground in PvE as well as in PvP. Now, one of my other favorite things to do with the helmet, while it does kind of expose you to return sniper fire, was make use of it when deploying a sniper. Use it to maybe pop over a piece of cover that an enemy wouldn't expect you to pop over because it's much too high. You can use that to sort of give yourself an almost, you know, sort of peek shot, sneak up, maybe snap off a couple rounds, maybe even just throw a grenade. You know, have a little bit more time to decide what you want to do in a situation where you otherwise would have to make a very snapshot decision, especially when jumping over cover with the sniper rifle. It's extremely difficult to actually get an accurate shot off. You can spend just a few more moments in the air, but again, you have to be aware that you're really exposing yourself to any sort of returning sniper fire, or maybe even a couple rounds from the Mida multi-tool, which is still mighty fierce in the Crucible. You have to really be aware when using this helmet. But overall, I feel it's a helmet that in the long term is going to be really beneficial to players that manage to master its perks and sort of develop their own skill set with it. The last thing that I was trying to do, which was sort of hit and miss, was make use of it as sort of a dodge and evade tactic, almost a bag of tricks. The idea being that in a close quarter situation, when using something like a shotgun, you could get airborne, allow an opponent to run around the corner thinking you were there, and then get the drop on them from above. It's going to be interesting to see how well that pans out. I was trying to do sort of a Titanfall wall hang thing with it, get in the air, and see if I could drop people from below. Easier said than done for sure. You know, a lot of it has to do with the height, the area of the room. You know, we have the increased field of view now. It makes it a little bit easier for people to see in their peripherals. It's really going to come down to a situation-to-situation basis, but if you can understand where you can employ a tool like this, it's definitely going to be beneficial. Now, I think outside of the direct, you know, just gaining the height advantage, holding it, and dealing out damage, there are a lot of small evasive maneuvers and tactics that can be used with this helmet because of its ability to stabilize mid-jump. Now, you can only stabilize one time in the middle of a jump. You simply go ahead, you initiate a jump. At any point that you decide to aim down the sights, you're going to start to stabilize with the anti-grav thrusters. As soon as you stop, you'll drop out of the height. There's also, obviously, a certain amount of time that the helmet will throw you up in the air. Eventually, you're just going to fall because it's going to stop holding you in that position. So you kind of have to focus on that. The nice thing, though, especially as a Titan who already has excessive air capabilities, someone who can really maintain their ability to stay in the air for an extended period of time, you can now use this as a sort of a pause to stay in the air even longer. So jump in the air, use half your thruster capabilities, deploy this helmet, and then use the other half, and you've spent a lot of time possibly making direction changes in the air or just, hanging out down there. It's going to be a really crazy mechanic in PvP. I'm really excited to see how people actually go ahead and deploy this thing. And I know I'm just having a lot of fun getting the height advantage on Shielded Cabal and, small little twists out in the PvE world. Definitely excited to head into a proper Nightfall, something with the extreme level of challenge, and see just how beneficial all of the ideas and concepts that I've talked about will be. Right now, best way to get the Empyrean Bellicose is to head on over to Xur before the weekend's over, cross your fingers with that exotic engram as a Titan and hope it drops into your lap. But it's a helmet that I definitely think is worth obtaining and checking out, not just because of its light level of 290, but because it's something new. It's actually really gorgeous from a visual perspective. I quite love the helmet's appearance. While you can't see as much of the detail in the helmet when you're actually out in third person, it is, almost like very small sketchings on a silver surface, but I think that's kind of the point of it. It definitely has a lot of that golden age technology appearance to it, and overall it's just a very, very beautiful helmet when worn with any sort of shader. It should note that it is not affected by any of the shaders. It will maintain its silver, white, and black color scheme. You cannot affect it with the shaders, so if you don't like the color of it, you're kind of stuck with it, but I think it's rather beautiful overall. If you have any other questions for me or thoughts of your own regarding the Empyrean Bellicose Exotic Titan helmet, throw it down in the comments section below. If there's anything else Titan related that you guys would like to see me cover in the future, I have obtained the Taikonaut Exotic helmet. I'm looking to see just how beneficial that helmet could actually be out in the open world, and I look to bring you guys my first impressions of it very soon, as well as the first impressions for any other Year 2 exotics that I managed to pick up. Now, I'm not someone who does things by the numbers, as you can probably tell from this video, and I'll ever actually do a review of an exotic. I'd rather stick to first impressions and looking at gameplay, concepts, and mechanics. Those things interest me far more than stats and numbers, and hopefully I can find a group of you guys out there, Destiny fans, who also appreciate those thought processes. If you'd like to share anything else with me, once again, any other questions, throw it down in the comment section below, and I hope to see you rocking out the anti-grav thrusters, maybe in a PvP or PvE situation with the Empyrean Bellicose.